be okay. All right, then we're going to begin. So thank you for joining us for this QA session. Originally it was supposed to be us just kind of talking at you. We had some fancy stuff we wanted to show you, talking about our next 3 to 4 month schedule, showing off a little bit of the WoW update that's coming up next month, and show you some concept art and generally have a good time. All good plans sometimes go awry, just as our plan to show you the WoW update. We're going to show you what happened when we tried to do the WoW testing, and it should be worth a laugh. So could you start up that video, please? So here we are inside trying to set up our characters, because we need gear. We're going to use the blood point gear, the PvP gear, for the WoW test. But the collision doesn't work. And while that sounds like a really cool thing, it really sucks when everything in the game is actually a collidable object. Think you can get up those stairs? Come on, just go up. No, you're Casper. No stairs for you. So we're thinking, well, with super GM powers, of course we can go and buy our blood point stuff. Here we are. No. And they're up there, we're down there. We can't interact with much of anything. So that's why we can't really present it to you today. The good thing is we're trying to get it sorted out early next week. So hopefully we can just kind of put a little video together of the GM team and us trying to take on the castles and probably getting walloped pretty good. And we'll go ahead and share that with you next week. But for today, we want to show off some of the stuff we can talk about. I'm going to be turning on a blog post that has our entire 4-month schedule and plans so you guys can see them. But before that, we want to show off one of the Assassin Shadow Form concept art. So a lot of people didn't like the cat dog face form. For one thing, your costume doesn't show and it's not quite shadow formy enough. So we talked to the development team and this was their idea back to us. And frankly, I like it a lot. I like the little shadowy, the appearance of the shadowy off of the character rather than it just being a form change. We don't have a schedule yet, but it is coming. So there's enough of that. So right now we would like to do a hide and seek to kind of entice some of those players in-game to come out of the game and watch this feed. So the only place to get your clues is going to be on this live stream. So find him. The first few people who find him in the game. Cover that up. Don't look at the mini-map, no cheating. First few people who find him, post it on Facebook, will win, what was it, a costume random box?
Yep.
So we'll just leave him there for now, and we'll talk about some other stuff. So like I said, oh, by the way, I'm Heimdallr.
And yours here.
We're going to be presenting July. July is our WoW test month. Starting on July 10th, we're going to have WoW in the game multiple times per day for about a week to figure out what's the best time for our community. Also to shake out whatever bugs there are to be shaken out. I'm sure there's going to be some latency issues because we're going to be removing whatever caps there are on number of people participating. But we also want to figure out, is the balance right for the... You just had to dance, huh?
Yep.
Various balance tweaks with the control points and the siege engines and the guardians, as well as players. Uh, we'll be getting a lot of feedback for that, hopefully to get it fixed up the way we need it to, prior to us launching it officially in August. The entire month of July, there is actually only one castle. Right now, it's just the Prontera Realm castle, and then there will be only one channel. It's one woe. To help people play during the woe, we're going to be doing a lot of events for. Oh, you've certainly gotten swarmed. Some of the events are, who wins the most castles, as well as who does the most woe quests that can be done in between woes on the woe maps. Yeah, next time we'll cover the mini map. See how much longer that takes. So we will be posting up all those events on Monday. There's 4 main events that are going on, as well as our normal 3 to 4 events we got going on just for general gameplay. So we should see a lot of people playing. The event I'm most excited about is the 24-hour woe, where we just track down the top number of killers. That should be a very interesting period of time. And we'll be live streaming as much of that as we can. So if you can't play, it's not really going to be woe. It's going to be more of a who gets the most kills, which guild gets the most kills. The central imp, the one that actually takes the castle over, should be removed. But the 4 control points that give various buffs, those will still be in game. So I'm sure we'll have devious people buying siege engines and shooting them at other people and all that. It should be a lot of fun. And we'll be live streaming as much of it as we can. As much as we can stay awake for. We will be giving away quite a bit of in-game swag, as well as some special out-of-game swag as well. We haven't quite decided, we haven't finalized what it is yet, but it'll be pretty good. So that's our WoW update next month. At the end of next month, we should be doing the pet DNA system, the monster DNA collection system, which it's a relatively small update that gives you something. You can make your own friend. You can go collect DNA from various monsters and then summon them. Should be fun to see towns completely filled up with monsters that shouldn't be there.
Stage 2.
Okay, did all of you get your screenshots in game so you can go put those up on Facebook? Because now it's a mad rush to get them posted. Yeah, so go ahead and go to step 2. So now we're going to have to cover up the screen a little bit with our WoW Castle concept art. So in August we have a raid update towards the end of the month. So I think that's what the schedule was. Yeah. The very, very end of July, July 31st, should be our Monster Collection update. August 7th should be our WoW official launch date. And then in September will be our Noel update. The Noel update is, of course, a new class, or new race that has some new class options. And all new voices for those classes, new NPCs, a new starting area. Pretty big update, so we need a lot of time to prep for that, especially to get all the voice actors hired and all that fun stuff done. And then in October, we will have a Halloween event, as well as the second WoW update, which will bring in another castle as well as some new WoW options. So that is our event plan in a nutshell, without going into various week-to-week updates with, what bug fix patches, what little tweaks we can do, as well as events. A lot of stuff planned. Just we will be having monthly updates as far as I can see into the future anyway, as well as a lot of bug fixes. On the blog, I'm going to have some discussion points of things that we're planning on. Yeah, that works. A bunch of discussion points that we brought up with the development team to kind of make the game more localized for you guys. Like we've heard a lot of people that they want things that aren't in the game, and we want you to have those things that aren't in the game as best we can. They do take quite a bit of time. I know they don't seem like big deals, like how long does it take to edit the chat, and I'll tell you it's a long time, because it does affect like the text everywhere in the game, not just the chat. That was just the way the game was designed. So it's not a quick 1 month update. It is a very big undertaking that is being done. So now we're at a point where I need to log into the blog and make that blog post viewable, and then also to enter into the Q&A portion of this, where we're going to read some questions off of the chat here and do our best to answer them. And I'm going to let my partner here talk for a bit while I do that.
How's it going, guys? This is Nyor. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to submit them in the chat, and also try and find me in the game.
So for the Steam client, we have an agreement with Steam. They provide a very good service for downloading the game and fulfilling payment stuff, as well as giving you a way of connecting with other players. We can't get our current players onto Steam and vice versa. Like a Steam player can't go to the Warp Portal and use the payment methods because it really breaks kind of that territory agreement. It's pretty much a business boring thing, but if you register on Warp Portal, you need to play on Warp Portal. You can always add RO2 as a non-Steam game, but you cannot actually use the game in the same way that a Steam registered person would be able to. It's a technical limitation that we have to live with. For level requirement, there is no level requirement for guild in WoE. Normally there will be a cap on number of players that can join the WoE. Part of the testing during July is to figure out what that cap should be set at. Like what is the tolerance for latency and slowdown and whatnot. So it will be laggy for the first few WoEs in July because there will be no cap. And I'm expecting we'll have many, many more hundreds of people than it was actually designed to host. The way it works is about 5 minutes before WoE starts, a prompt, like the Coliseum prompt, will come up for you if you're in a guild. You sign up, and then the first however many in that queue are able to join. And the only way the next person in queue can join is if someone leaves. We're talking with the development team about some options for maybe changing how some of that works, but for right now, that's how it works. When you're in the WoE, you can buy siege engines and use them for your maniacal plans of stopping up control points and all that. I'm the strongest one.
The question about the costumes for the Only the Strongest Survive winners, we have compiled that and we're actually going to send those out today. It just took a little time to get all the winners in.
question about number of characters on screen, all games do have this issue. Whether it starts to crap out around 50 people or it's about 100, that's about the cap of any game with full detail on. And certainly Ragnarok 2 does have a limitation to where stuff won't show up properly. That is actually one of the reasons why there was a cap in WoE. They're big maps, but of course you might have too many people in that area, especially towards the choke points. And the last, so for the Beastmaster form, why animate the human attacks when a Beastmaster is required to take a form to do anything for a raid? And are there at some point going to be able to fight as a human? I have never thought about that. I mean, I suppose you could fight as a human, but you wouldn't be using the beast form skills. I'm going to try to get a hold of you in game at some point in the next week to get a little more information about that. There is not an alliance option. In theory, a guild can be about 100 people. So if you were able to ally, you could almost lock up the entire WoW with one or two guilds. And that would kind of ruin some of that fun. So it is your guild against everyone else. Is RO2 pay to win? No. We've definitely pulled back a lot of things that we could have put in because we don't want to be a pay to win game. We want to be a balanced game with payment options. That's where we want to be and that's where we're going to stay. Certain things have to be rethought, which we are doing, like the elixirs for the runes. So there's options both for payment as well as acquiring them in-game. Once that's figured out, we will be putting them in-game.
The question about the 100 strong event, will all guild members get the cape? All guild members will get the cape who are in the guild when the event ends. We still don't know how we're going to go about distributing those, but we'll get more information as we get closer to that date.
So one of the questions was, will there be any adjustments to skills in PvP? That's actually something we have been talking with the development team. There's no conclusion yet. Right now it's not possible, but that doesn't mean it won't be possible in the future. So like simple fixes like changing taunt to do something different, since taunt isn't as useful in PvP as, say, double strafe. Those are definitely things that we're thinking about. We will be limiting the number of prizes to one per account. So like if you have 42 alts in your guild, you're not going to get 42 capes on your account, or whatever the prize would be for that particular event. We are giving out quite a bit of stuff, so I don't think anyone's going to feel neglected when it comes to opening up their event storage. So Zenny Syncs. I know at some point Pandora's Hammers will be a Zenny Sync. For WoE, the Siege Engines are a Zenny Sync. But you also get Zenny for controlling the castle, basically as a tax. And then there's also repair costs, which we understand they're not quite as balanced for all the classes as you would like. The battle skills be released at the same time as well. That's actually something we need to test. In theory, yes, they should start. Uh, so the resurrection skills, realistically, there's not really a good way of changing the cooldown for it. I would rather change the function of it. We do have the Yggdrasil leaves, and if you're doing raids, you're likely getting more than enough money to afford the Yggd leaves, which is another one of those NE6 that we were talking about. Let's see some more questions. Status of large bags. I don't think they're going to be enabled. We have large bags, but not the, was it super bags and then super duper bags or something like that. The second to last tier is not in game. They may be done as an event, but they're not planned to be a normal drop in the game right now. The brackets for Coliseum, it's a good idea. Right now Coliseum is very much a open PvP with no tiering for level, no tiering for classes, no tiering for skill. Maybe that can change in the future, but it will not be a... I just want to set your expectations to be reasonable. They won't be fast fixes. We are constantly working on Coliseum bug fixes. Every time we find a bug, it's usually fixed within 2 weeks. There will be one woe. Effectively, it'll be one channel. Everyone who joins will join this one woe instance. It's not 50 minutes. If you get the resurrection skill to level 3, it's much shorter than that. This is for the resurrection skill. And don't blame him, blame Heimdallr. I'm the one talking right now. No, I do definitely understand the limitation on the resurrect skill. I would rather it be more functional, but still have a fairly long combat timer. The Imperium, as far as we know, can just be hit. It has a lot of hit points. It's got a lot of defenders, but you can smack it around without having to crit it. When the Alter classes be finally released on American server? Noel is planned for September. As far as being stuck in combat during the entire WoW, we need to check on that. I'll bet right now the answer is yes. And I understand that that kind of limits some of the stealth skills a bit. That's part of this test we're going to be doing next month. Don't mind the dead air right now. I'm trying to update the blog so you can actually read more about what I'm talking about.
It looks like my third spot wasn't very well hidden, so I'm going to go ahead and move to a fourth spot.
Do the one in the middle of Frontier.